And as the hospital considers you an elderly person who's pregnant, so can we use the word high risk?
Absolutely.
As a high risk pregnancy, how did that feel?
So that's where I definitely am pretty anxious right now. I am not naturally an anxious person, by the way. I tend to kind of be the zen and calm in most situations. And, you know, of course, certainly I have things that I'll worry about, but I've figured out how to manage it and nothing really long term. But since this has come out, and especially when I realized, even being in the airport and the match, just feeling like, am I not doing enough, right? Am I not doing enough to protect myself, to protect the baby? Since then, I've definitely become increasingly concerned. I'm in some pregnancy groups on Facebook, and we talk all things pregnancy all day or whatever. And so of course the last like month and a half, it's mostly been about Corona, and it's been about things like your partner not being able to be with you when you labor, and the thought of laboring alone, and the nurses and doctors in full, you know, protective gear, and nothing like anything that I've ever done before. So right now, I don't leave home unless I'm going to doctor's appointments, and I have to go to the doctor because I'm high risk, 3 times a week. And my doctor is attached to the hospital. And so going in, they're taking my temperature, they're assessing, you know, things every time I go. My partner can no longer come with me either. So he's not able to, you know, participate in this part of it. And I just had a conversation with my doctor last week that they're weighing the options. Like, is it more risk me coming in these 3 times a week versus the benefit of it? But at my age, there's a really high rate of stillbirth in the last month of pregnancy, which is why they see me so often. So it's just this added, you know, anxiety. The other thing I just wanted to mention too, I mentioned these groups, and they really kind of keep me sane in a way, especially before, because your friends don't want to hear about your pregnancy 24/7 and whatever. It's just like a place to go where everyone's mind is just on pregnancy. And so over the last few weeks, there have been women who have tested positive in my group for COVID.
While pregnant.
There have been some that tested positive while they were going into labor. So 9 months. There's some
What happens in that case?
So what they're doing is they birth the baby, obviously everybody's in full hazmat, and they take the baby away for 14 days. So they can't breastfeed, no skin to skin. If there's someone in their family who will get tested and not have it, they can take the baby, but they have to be quarantined for 2 weeks before they can be around the baby, which is so primitive and so
wow.
And so you walk around, and like in my group, I just realized how paralyzed everyone is. Like, we walk around with this fear, not only that you get it for all the reasons everybody else thinks, but like, what if I get this unbeknownst to me, and I go in there and they test and they're going to take your baby away for 2 weeks? So it's just a very kind of surreal, I guess, but just full of anxieties. Same thing with our partners. Like, we're completely quarantined. We're building a house right now, so he's kind of back and forth to the house. He does work from home, thank God. Taking full precautions. We have masks. We're washing hands. We're doing whatever. So when he's out, he gets to the front door. It's like, okay, kids, go upstairs. I'm stripping it down and washing everything. But he's still out there, and he's still checking on the house and doing things. So I also have a fear, and this is going to sound so crazy. I have a fear of him right now.
It doesn't sound crazy. The crazy thing is that it doesn't sound crazy.
So he could.
Have you two been talking about that?
We have, and he gets it. I might be overly, again, my kids haven't left here in 18 days. I don't know if I stress that. Like, we have a backyard with a play area, whatever. and we'll take a walk in the neighborhood. But short of that, like literally, I haven't taken them out at all. And I've been very, very, other than him coming and going, we're in a bubble.
Is that how you're getting groceries and such?
So I'm doing Instacart. So they're delivering it, and then the kids are spraying with Lysol, leaving it out there for a few hours. Unless it's something frozen, we'll bring it in. But we're being very, probably overly cautious. I mentioned when we started that I'm originally from New Orleans. New Orleans has been hit really hard. And so I know several people that have this. And so it's not like a so far away thing for me as I think it is for some people.
That's actually a question that I ask everybody is, as of today, which is February 5th, 2020, do you know anyone that has been diagnosed? You said yes. Who do you know?
So,
and what are the statuses of them?
So I have 3 classmates, as in that I grew up with, like middle school, from home, who have lost their parents, all fathers who were like in their 70s.
You have 3 classmates and all 3 of them have lost their fathers.
Yeah, so 3 classmates who have lost their fathers, and they're in New Orleans. My brother, who's divorced, his ex-wife and her husband had it. My 3 nieces live with them. Really my 2 nieces, and then they had another baby. And so my niece, which the oldest one is 12, is taking care of the baby and the other kids, and the mom and dad are like in an in-law suite in the backyard. Try not to affect the kids.
How sick are they?
He's a police officer. His mother's been hospitalized for almost 2 weeks. They're both sick, but they are more flu symptoms. They're pretty young. They're in their late 30s. Not that that means that they wouldn't be sick, but they're more like we have flu and we're run down and we are tired and etc. Not to the point where they've had to be hospitalized though. So they've been, you need to stay home. The hardest thing for them is they have these 3 kids there. And luckily for them, I mean, not everybody has an in-law suite in the backyard, that they were able to find some kind of separate, and their youngest baby is 18 months old. So the 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and 9-year-old are taking care of the baby, like in the house. They can't go to grandparents because they've been exposed, and
oh my goodness.
So
for you, it's really real for you in that way.
It is. And so I'm way more terrified than my partner is. He is very conscientious for sure about it, and doesn't want me going out and, trying to make sure, like my daughter sneezed the other day. He's like, oh my God, like least of our worries. She's been here for 18 days. It's pollen outside, etc. But I get it. But I am a college classmate, pharmacist, passed away yesterday. They started sending things out like to our alumni group about a week ago that he hadn't, and I just figured he would just be sick and recover. He's 40 years old and really, really active in our alumni group, etc. And he's a pharmacist and has his Facebook profile picture is like, I can't stay home, I'm a pharmacist type thing. And that's been his, and 2 young children and a wife. Not just sick, but he actually died yesterday. And so I'm like, so as much as I go back and forth with trying to keep from being anxious by saying, it's like getting the flu, you're healthy, the kids are healthy, just be vigilant, etc. And then I see those things and they're just reminders of like, it could be really bad. And an infant with little to no immune system.
I mean, here's the thing. The truth of the matter